All right, here we are at Big Data London Day 1. I'm with Nik from Dremio, and I'm here to talk about data mesh with Nik. So Nik, can you start with your introduction?
Yeah, so I actually joined Dremio about 7 months ago. My fun story is I used to be on the other side of the table, so I built data analytics platforms and run them globally for companies like Nike, Zendesk, American Eagle, and I actually started my career at the NSA.
Yeah.
So yeah, security and governance is obviously always going to be my core as well.
You know, new face to the community for sure. So
Yeah.
thanks for doing this, Nik. And today, as I mentioned to our audience as well, we'll be talking around data mesh. So for our audience, can you tell us what is data mesh? And in simpler terms, how does it work? And what are the problems it's actually solving?
Yeah, and I think data mesh is always a fun one because I think everybody now says they run a data mesh or support data mesh.
Right.
So I generally try to stay away from the, hey, where do you fit in that? And just go like, look, at the end of the day, data mesh is really just about getting business and value and data to the business as fast as humanly possible, right? So being able to go, what does federation look like? What does self-service look like? Right?
Yeah.
And then how do we do that at scale safely? So for me, data mesh, and maybe I'll stay away from Fabric a little bit, but data mesh is really just about going, how do I go directly to those data sources and allow businesses as fast as humanly possible to get the value and access to that data?
This is amazing. Thanks for that, deep explanation out there. Nik, also, talking about the current scenario and the global economic, the global economic environment we are in, I would love to know what areas or problems do you see customers and prospects still funding and driving their transformation?
Yeah, so a fun comment I like to make is nobody funds architecture. If they do, that's one of the first places that gets cut. Right? So it's really just about how do you connect these architectural or data transformations with the business transformation.
True.
And I think no matter what's happening in the economy, everyone's always customer obsessed or should be.
Yeah.
So things like customer 360, right? How do I know how to give a better experience, the next best product, the next best message to a customer? So building out that foundation, and then I'd say depending on your industry, the other one that's always funded and always a headache is supply chain analytics and supply chain optimization.
Very interesting. And that also brings me to another point, where to start if you are unsure about it. And without a core business priority, where do you advise teams to, start with data mesh? Where do you see companies moving and, struggling as well?
Yeah, where I usually tell folks is everybody's generally kind of starting at some area around like domain-driven design, right? Or they're sitting with a swamp when they really want lakes and they're trying to figure out data marts and so forth. So I usually say like, there's always the biggest pain or the biggest advocate and the easiest way to do distributed stewardship, for example, in finance. Your K10 can't be wrong. Somebody owns every single line of that K10 report. Yeah. So what does it look like to be able to serve facts of that and give the insights to what's actually happening in your business faster? And my one joke is I've been at a few companies, I won't name names, and there's this asterisk problem in the finance space, which is like, what was sales yesterday in North America? Depending on the team you ask, there's an asterisk. So how do you just simplify that and just go, here's the facts of our business and success of it, and guess what? The K10 now is trusted.
Yeah.
Because again, if you get that wrong, you're in trouble. So it's an easy way to start with the data mesh to go, can I federate ownership of that and allow faster insights or faster access to that data?
Yeah, pretty interesting. And thanks for sharing that. Definitely I would want to get the name off air. But that brings me to another important topic is around how do you see Dremio in terms of, the features that Dremio has as compared to the other, platforms in the space?
Yeah, so maybe I'll take it back to even like my Nike days. I was actually the second biggest customer of Snowflake. And I ran Databricks, and we ran every cloud. And at the time, we moved into Snowflake because we needed a way to be cloud agnostic, and we also needed a way to actually move those swamps into more trusted data marts. But there was really no other option. Right? The technology wasn't there yet. And the reason why I reached actually out myself to Dremio to come here is I think there is now. And if you look at technology like Arrow, of going, I actually don't need this massive distributed warehouse ecosystem anymore to optimize. I can actually operate in my swamp and continue to optimize my use cases and deliver insights faster. And for me, that's where I get super excited about Dremio and the technology here.
Love it, and thanks for sharing that. Also, another quick question around Dremio's open standards and why did Dremio choose to build its platform on open standards like Apache Arrow and apacheiceberg?
Yeah, I think if you take it back into the history of data analytics itself in general, there's this continued motion towards open, right? And if you go in the classic warehouses of your informaticas, right? Like, yeah, you had your storage and compute all coupled together. I remember trying to find space and literally taking over a closet once in an NSA basement just to put more green plum boxes in. Right? And I think there was this convergent moment that happened, and I'll give them credit again in Snowflake, when they started separating storage and compute. But that was right after the big wave of the Hadoop ecosystem.
Yeah.
And that's where all the open technologies came out, right? Kafka, which everybody loves still today, even though Fivetran's disrupting, is like, that was just a messaging service within Hortonworks stack.
Yeah.
Right? And all these technologies have spun out, and I think that's now the core of a lot of businesses. And I think as we continue to look, companies don't want to be all in. I remember at the Databricks conference, even the JPMC leader was like, I don't care what discounts you give me, I'm not putting all of my data inside you.
Right.
Because part of this is like, I need to think about the longevity and optimizing not just my spend, but also my architecture. And as much flexibility as you can have there, frankly, the better.
Yeah, no, I think that's a very good point there, Nik. Thanks for sharing that. Since you are on this topic of cost, I would love to know how Dremio helping other companies save the costing and helping their data teams.
Yeah, so TCO definitely is a huge message that we're trying to leverage into.
Yeah.
We had some really good conversations with our customers last week on this. And everything we do now at Dremio is literally to go, how do we decrease your TCO?
Right.
And so if you look at the back-end technology, especially even with Arrow and with Dremio's reflections technologies, like, again, I go back to, there has to be a better way. So I don't want to have to scan all of my tables. I don't want to have to be able to continue to combine all these different sources everywhere. How do I do it smarter, better, faster, cheaper? Right? And I even look at a customer like MSK, one of the largest research cancer institutes in the US, and they decreased 90% of their Kafka footprint just as they were starting implementing Dremio. And again, it's just like, you don't have to move that much data anymore. There has to be a better way, right? And I remember back when I was even at Zendesk, we had over 1,600 PagerDuty tickets just tied to pipelines.
Yeah.
So again, I'm just talking about data movement, not even then the compute savings that you have when you use things like reflections that doesn't have to scan a whole table. I just know what data I need to optimize against, and then I can power, whether it's even Tableau abstracted or using Dremio Direct. And this is where we see basically the 90% savings in most warehouses, and most of our customers, one off the top of my head, I can't say, a big fruit company.
Yeah, I got it.
Even one of their implementations with us, it literally took them down from 4 million spend in Snowflake down to $1 million.
Yeah.
And then we even have Maersk here talking about saving over $7 million on his Databricks costs.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not saying rip it out. I'm just saying continue to optimize your architecture and use the companies for what they're great at.
Yeah, this is interesting. Thanks for sharing that. And that also, I'm pretty sure a lot of folks who are watching us are non-technical folks, so I would love to learn a little about how Dremio is helping the non-technical folks analyze and access data.
Yeah, the easiest one that I don't want to talk much about is GenAI, right? That's the base everybody needs to do now, right? And I remember years ago, we used to talk about like citizens analyst, and citizens data scientist, and citizens engineer.
Yeah.
And it all sounded great years ago, but then when you turn them into citizens analysts or scientists, they broke stuff, right? Or the two biggest breaches I've ever had in my career that I can remember or talk about was actually data scientists running their own pipelines.
Yeah.
And so for Dremio, it's about making that safe, right? How do I get any user directly in our platform to be able to interact with data without, again, having to go, hey, here's create your own coffin topic. No. So things like GenAI and text-to-SQL, right, and an autonomous semantic layer, all these things, like you generally look at buzzwords, it just makes it easy, and you don't want to think about how this stuff works, right? The best technology is always abstracted. You're just solving business problems or giving insights fast.
Yeah.
So this is where I would actually just encourage people to just try it out.
I love it.
Yeah.
And thanks for sharing all the details, Nik, and this was amazing. One last question. I'm pretty sure the folks watching us would like to, reach out to you, learn more about Dremio, not only just that, about the space in general as well. So where can they meet you and, learn more, ask questions?
Obviously, anybody here at Big Data London, we're here.
Yeah.
We're also going to be at DataEngineers Paris for anybody else in EMEA.
Nice.
But yeah, check out our website, dremio.com. People want to reach out to me directly. I would say the easiest way for me is LinkedIn.
LinkedIn?
You can definitely find me there. But yeah, I think in today's day and age, if you want to get a hold of us, it's super easy. We also have, if you want to learn, we do these gnarly data waves almost every once a week.
Yeah.
So again, if you want to learn about the technology, Alex is one of our advocates, is amazing on there.
Yeah, I know Alex,
Yeah.
yes.
So yeah, a lot of different ways to be able to learn. And again, I'd even say just try it out. Super easy to sign up, it's free. And that's what I'd say is take away all the marketing, try it out yourself, and
This is
we're
amazing.
here to help.
Thanks, Nick, for doing this, and it's such a pleasure to host you on the Ravit Show.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.